Hey everybody, back again to work more on this DSM manifold. So the last video went ahead, built the fixture for it, got the collector done, and now the next order of business is to actually build the primary pipes for it. So I took the liberty to go ahead and kind of mock some things up, play around with some bends, and it is going to be very tight. I probably would have been better off using 1.25" pipe as opposed to 1.5", but we're already here, so we're going to make this work. So the tightest one is going to be right here on the second port from the right hand side here, as it has to snake around the side of the collector there, and it just barely has enough room to do so. However, the point of contention is the first primary on the right here, and allowing enough space in building this one to also have space to build this pipe. So I'm going to have to get a little bit creative with how I'm going to do this, but in having mocked it up a little bit, I think it is quite possible to make this work. So I have right here, it is a tight radius 45-degree bend, as opposed to using a long radius one, and that's in order to get it to clear the collector there. And if I set these pieces up side by side, like so, you can see the difference in height of the two bends. These are obviously 90s, but you can get the general idea of what's going on there. So without further ado, I guess let's start working on that tight primary, and we'll progress from there. All right, that first primary took some serious fitting, grinding, refitting, so on and so forth, but it's on there. It fits well, and let's take a look. Now, in typical fashion, I have the primary offset to combat some of the pull as I weld the primary up and hopefully make it fit back in its home properly after it's been welded. But there's our form of our tight 45. And then 3 tight radius 90-degree bends. And it looks tight, but there will be room to snake this primary around this one to get to that port. All in all, pretty happy with it. So now that that primary is done, why don't we go ahead and knock the other primary out on that side. So now that we have those two primaries built, it should be sturdy enough, to pull it off the fixture and test fit it on Plum patty. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull it off the fixture, hopefully it doesn't fall apart on us, and go bolt it up to the head, and we'll see where we're at. Well, I went to fit it on there and of course ran into a clearance issue. It's what happens when you are building a manifold or a new manifold for the first time. So let's see what's going on here. And you see that radiator hose right in the way of where that primary needs to go, or vice versa. and the head flange is not even close to being able to be tightened down. So I'll have to see about remaking that primary, or maybe look and see if there is a replacement radiator that puts that water neck in a better location. But that'll be something for another day. It's getting late here now, and I'm gonna get out of here. So we'll pick up another day when I have some time to work on this and try to sort this issue out. All right, back the day after I built the first 2 primaries on the DSM factory replacement manifold and ran into fitment issues with the 2G radiator. I did a little bit of research and I figured out that with minimal modifications, you can put a 1G radiator in your 2G. And from the reading I've done, you have to move the 2 mounting posts on the bottom of the 1G radiator. And the big benefit to this is it moves this water spout more towards the passenger side, getting rid of this bend here, decentralizing the water spout and allowing much more clearance for the water hose and the exhaust manifold. So I went ahead and I ordered a Mishimoto Radiator for it. It should be here in the next few days. But in the meantime, I can keep going on the manifold and get this radiator pulled out and ready for the new one to go in. So I'll go ahead, I will remove this radiator and get rocking on the primaries again. All right, no more radiator in there right now. So you can see just how much space that freed up. If the hose was essentially centralized in the car, now it'll be over here. That gives this whole side of the engine that's free and able to have a primary ran there. So now let's pull the manifold back off the fixture and test fit it again. Make sure that it isn't going to run into clearance issues anywhere else. If we're good there, then that gives me free rein to proceed in building the rest of this manifold. So let's give that a shot. There we go. Fits in there nicely. I was a little bit concerned using a tight radius bend right off the head flange there. That I was going to run into head clearance issues, but obviously that is not the case. I like this wraparound. And the only other point of contention with this will be the oil dipstick. So I'm pretty happy with that. Happy that there are no other issues other than that radiator, which is an easy fix. And now I guess I have verification that I do have free rein to build the rest of it. So I'll get this thrown back on the fixture and get rocking on the last 2 primaries. All right, fabrication's finished on the manifold for Plum Patty, and it looks awesome. So let's check it out. Boom, look at that. And you can see there's plenty of clearance to the dipstick tube, plenty of clearance all around for everything. Obviously the radiator's out swapping over to that 1G radiator, which moves the water spout more towards the passenger side, which will give plenty of clearance to that primary. Looks like I'll have plenty of room to tighten all of the fasteners down, and clears the hood. So just check that out. I am thrilled with that. It looks awesome, and now I won't have to worry about another cast manifold breaking. So now that the manifold's fabricated, the next order of business is to weld the primaries and then fully assemble the manifold. However, that will be for the next video. By then I'll have the radiator in, we'll be able to get this thing back together, fully assembled, get it running again, and at that point, it will be time for the silver car. So, I can't wait to get this thing finished, get started on that again, and I guess you could say the spark's kind of reignited for working on these things. But until then, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and we'll see you then. Later.